Are you a nurse preparing for the OET exam? Want to know how to write an OET letter? Watch this video where I show you how. Hello, I'm Jo from Specialist Language Courses. We are OET Premium Preparation Providers, which means you are in the right place for your OET. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit that bell so you know every time we upload a new video. Let's go! The OET writing is profession specific, meaning you will be writing as a nurse to another healthcare professional. You will be given a set of case notes and 5 minutes reading time. You can read through the case notes during this time, but you cannot write anything. Once the 5 minutes is up, you have 40 minutes to write your letter. You will be given an answer booklet which looks like this. You have 2 sheets of line paper to write your letter on and 1 sheet of blank paper which will not be marked, so you can use this for planning and notes. You will also be given a test booklet which contains the case notes and another blank page which will not be marked and can be used for notes. Now we've looked at what to expect, let's look at how to approach the OET writing with this step-by-step guide. Step 1. Look at the case notes and find out who you are writing to and why. This is essential because it will help you select the relevant information needed for the reader. Step 2. Decide what information is relevant and what information the reader does not need to know. Step 3. Make a plan. Decide on a logical way to group the relevant information together in paragraphs. Step 4. Write your letter. Use clear language to summarize the important information and leave a line between paragraphs. And step 5, check your letter for errors and make sure you have included the key information. Now let's look at some of these steps in action, starting with step 1. Look at the case notes and find out who you are writing to and why. You try. We can see that you are a nurse at a boarding school and Jake Peterson has presented with hair loss and associated depression. Now look at the task where you will find out who you're writing to and why, and you need to write to Mrs. Cullen, a university practice nurse, and the reason you are writing is in the task. Briefly outline Jake Peterson's history and your concerns. This is also where you find the address to use in your letter. Understanding the reason for writing is so important because it will help you select the relevant information for your reader. So let's take a look at that now. Step 2. We know we have to briefly outline Jake Peterson's history and our concerns. So let's look at the case notes more closely. Read through these notes and decide what information is relevant and what information the reader does not need to know. We need to include his name and date of birth, but the address is irrelevant information. If we look at social background, we see that the information is not related to why we are writing. However, the next section, presenting complaint, this is essential information for the reader so that they can understand Jake's history of alopecia. Now, moving on to the treatment summary section from March 2014 to August 2019. What information do you think is relevant to include? So we can see that this section contains mainly relevant information, and the challenge here is to summarize this effectively without going into excessive detail. The onset is relevant so that the timeline is clear for the reader. However, the possible cause of the onset is irrelevant. This was many years ago and not related to the current situation. Details of the referral to the trichologist and the medication tried should be summarized briefly to outline what treatment he had. And then the ceasing of the hair loss from 2014 to 18 should also be included. And there is some relevant information to include from December 2018, such as the return of hair loss and perhaps loss of weight. There is then lots of information about reluctance to see the doctor and homeopathic treatment, but not all the detail needs to be mentioned. It needs to be summarized effectively. One way of doing this is to focus on the outcome rather than the process. For example, rather than including all the information about reluctance to see the doctor, trying homeopathy, and affecting sports and relationships, you can just include the information from February, which states that Jake had tried homeopathy, which was unsuccessful, and this resulted in disappointment and distress. The outcome. March 2019 until July are recent events, and they connect to the purpose of the letter, outlining his history and your concerns. So do include this information. And the 30th of August contains the most recent information, and it directly relates to the purpose of the letter. So include all of it. It also includes what needs to be requested from the reader. Step 3. Once you've decided what information to include, it's a great idea to make a plan. This will help you stay focused during your writing time, and you can use it as a checklist to make sure you have included the relevant content. There is no set way to organize a letter. You need to group the relevant information together in a logical way in paragraphs. So here we have an example plan for the Jake Peterson set of case notes. Paragraph 1. Introduce the patient, medical issue and purpose. Paragraph 2. Summary of patient history related to alopecia and previous treatment. Paragraph 3. Summary of related information to possible depression and anxiety. Paragraph 4. Request for monitoring and arrangement of special exam requirements. Now that you have your plan, you move on to step 4. Write your letter. Make sure you use clear language to summarize the important information and leave a line between paragraphs. To summarize effectively and avoid including too much detail, focus on the outcome. Which of these two sentences is more effective? He was referred to a trichology specialist who was unable to determine a specific etiology. The first example contains the information the reader needs to know, and it's written concisely. The second sentence has too much detail and relies heavily on the language from the case notes. Finally, step 5, check your letter for errors and make sure you've included the key information. Use your plan as a checklist to make sure you've included all the relevant information, and become aware of your repeated language errors. Check for these first, rather than just reading through your letter. For example, if you know you often make mistakes with articles, then look specifically for any possible errors with these when checking your letter first. Okay, so now let's take a look at a sample letter for the Jake Peterson case. We can see here that the letter has been laid out correctly with the name and address of who you're writing to, the date, the greeting, and the reference. By familiarizing yourself with the correct layout to use, this will help you score well in organization and layout. The first paragraph introduces the patient and the reason for writing. To score well in the purpose section of criteria, it is essential that the reason you are writing is immediately clear in the first paragraph and expanded well throughout the letter. In the second paragraph, we can see there is an effective summary of relevant background information, and it helps to highlight the patient's story clearly for the reader. There is a clear timeline as well as effective summarizing and linking expressions to communicate the information clearly and effectively. In the next paragraph, we can see recent relevant information has been highlighted relating to both hair loss and associated depression and anxiety. And finally, in the last paragraph, we can see that it contains a polite request for monitoring and special exam arrangements, and the letter is then appropriately signed off. Sample letters can help you while preparing for your OET exam so that you can see how to express the purpose effectively, understand what the relevant content is, and you can also notice effective language to use when summarizing and linking, as well as clear organization and appropriate language to use. Top tips for OET writing. Look at the task first. Keep in mind the purpose of the letter as you select relevant information. Summarize information effectively. Plan your letter. Remember to check for errors at the end and succeed in the OET exam. What are some of the errors that you tend to make when you write? Let me know in the comments below. And if you like this video, please like and share with your friends and colleagues so we can help more people achieve success in the OET exam. Don't forget to check out our website, the link's below, to see how we can help you. See you in the next video. Bye! Are you a nurse preparing for the OET exam? Want to know how to... Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, the link's below, to see how we can... No. And this is the next step, step 2. Step.